Mysterious nebulas, crippled vessels, alternate universes, all of this coming up. Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're talking about the sneak peek scene for Star Trek Discovery Season 5 Episode 5, which is entitled Mirrors. And I think this title is a pretty big hint at what we're up for in our halfway point through this last season of Discovery. There have been a few little images come out in the context of trailers in the past which show us a few scenes from this episode, which I'm going to have another look at today, which will give us a bit of an indication as to where most of this next episode will be taking place. But before we do that and we get speculating about what's coming up, we've got to look at the sneak peek scene. This shows Captain Rayner. He's on the bridge of the Discovery, and it looks like Burnham and Book have taken a shuttlecraft into a very mysterious nebula in search of Mole and Luck. So let's get into this sneak peek scene, have a look, and see what we're in for.
How are we doing, Book?
It'll be close. Hang on!
Captain, are you okay? Did you make it in safely?
We're okay, we made it.
But the question being, where have they made it to? It looks like there's a very bright light out the window of the shuttlecraft, kind of punching through some sort of barrier perhaps to get to a different part of space, which we'll get to shortly. But wherever they're going, it clearly needs the shuttlecraft to get to, and it's not somewhere they can easily transport to. Otherwise they wouldn't be using the shuttlecraft.
Picking up some interference, though.
Captain. Lieutenant Christopher.
Trying to get her back, sir. Cycling through all frequencies.
Commander Stamets, to the science lab. I need you to boost comms. Bring whoever you need.
On my way.
Eyes up, everyone. Captain's counting on us. Yellow alert.
Kind of seems like Rayner might have mellowed a little bit towards the rest of the crew in this episode. He's giving them some bonding inspiration and everything, and he's trying to inspire the troops. So it definitely feels like these last couple of interactions we've had with Rayner have softened his edges perhaps a little bit. Again, we've got these other crew members taking on the con and ops seats on the front of the bridge. I honestly don't know why we need to replace these characters. We know so little about Detmer and Owo, and yet we're replacing them with these other bridge crew members for absolutely no reason. Our poor bridge crew get so little airtime already. Why limit it even further by just getting a couple of these other extras essentially on to fill their roles on the bridge? It sort of makes no sense to me.
Visibility shit in here.
It's exotic matter of some kind. It's wreaking havoc on our sensors. And our holopads.
Flying deaf and blind. Good times.
Book, watch out!
Hang on!
Debris is not a good sign.
No, debris is not a good sign, so why are you driving so fast? It's like they're flying into this nebula at a great speed, and there's bits of a wrecked starship and bits of shrapnel and junk and everything around. It's like, do they need to be driving so fast in this scene? It kind of seems like if you can clearly see that there's junk around the place, maybe just go through it slowly. We don't need to fly through it surely at quite a greater speed, because that's just putting the shuttlecraft in danger. But it seems whatever this nebula they've flown into it's playing havoc with the ship's systems. Their pads aren't working properly. There's a lot of distortion, interference and things going on, which isn't making their job any easier as well if they're, as Book said, blind and deaf and they're flooring it. Let's just, maybe open a page to the Book of Common Sense, shall we?
That's Monologue's ship.
Half of it, anyway. The aperture must have caught the stern when they were passing through.
You think they made it?
Maybe. If they made it into that.
Made it into that. Well, what is that, you might ask, Captain Burnham? Well, I think we've got a pretty good idea what that is. We obviously had some trailers come out at the end of the first episode of the season and some of the promotional material that's been floating about for a little while now. And we're pretty confident that that is in fact the USS Enterprise, NCC 1701. Or maybe it's the ISS 1701. Because from other trailers and everything that we've seen before, we've had this image of the Enterprise there with the shuttlecraft that Book and Burnham are in, and also this image as well, which both give a pretty clear indication that we're going to be getting the Enterprise in some capacity in this episode. But whether it is the USS Enterprise or whether they've passed through some barrier into the mirror universe, which is what the episode title would seem to suggest, mirrors, and also some shots from the trailer. We'll take a look at these trailer shots as well, which kind of confirm that suspicion as well. Plenty of bits and pieces pointing towards a mirror universe episode in episode 5. But it seems like Mole and Lark's ship is toast. They've pretty much crashed it through this area of space or whatever. It's no longer functional. How are they going to be getting around from now on? Are they going to try to steal the Enterprise? Are they going to try to steal Discovery? Are they going to try to steal a shuttlecraft from Discovery? Because it seems like their ship is badly crippled unless they can salvage some piece of tech perhaps from the Enterprise to repair their own ship perhaps. In other clips from this next week's episode we've seen before in the form of trailers and so forth. Obviously we've seen these couple of shots of the exterior of the Enterprise. We've also seen a few bits and pieces involving a phaser fight in the sickbay of the Enterprise with Mole and Lark versus Book and Burnham, where Mole and Lark seem to be using some sort of projecting holographic technology to duplicate their positions so they are harder targets to hit in the middle of a phaser fight. And also the fact that we've also had some displays appearing on various different monitors in the background of the sickbay here, which show the Terran Empire logo. So my guess is that this is probably most likely going to be the ISS Enterprise, and that they've crossed through some barrier into the mirror universe, which is where they have to go to retrieve the puzzle piece, the next clue for the progenitor's tech. It actually makes sense why in last week's episode they ended up at that area of space scanning it and there was nothing there at all. They couldn't find a thing. I think they were in the right location, they were just in the wrong universe. And once they cross over through a barrier into the mirror universe, then they'll find the next puzzle piece. It would make sense that the Romulan doctor hid one of the puzzle pieces in the mirror universe because he's been choosing locations that are quite deadly to get to and that you need to solve massive obstacles to overcome in order to get these pieces of the puzzle. So hiding it in the mirror universe in some incredibly deadly nebula that ships get destroyed in seems like a good hiding place. But the question is, are they going to be able to pass through into the mirror universe, retrieve this piece of tech, and get back again? Hopefully in this episode, Rhys gets a little more to do, because we know from previous episodes his favourite starship is the Constitution class. So it would be a crying shame if they ended up spending this episode with the Constitution class and poor old Rhys didn't get to do anything. That would be very sad, and I'm sure that would not be good news for him if that was the case. So some interesting stuff coming up in our next episode. Looking forward to that one. Leave your thoughts in the comments section. Are you looking forward to episode 5 and what we're going to be seeing in that, this episode entitled Mirror? It's pretty clearly going to be something that's to do with the mirror universe. So yeah, we will see about that and see what we're in for our next episode of Star Trek Discovery. Don't forget to like and click on that big subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. There's a really high percentage of viewers to my channel that returning viewers, but not necessarily have gone that extra little moment and clicked on that big subscribe button. So I encourage you to do so. Also check out my merch in the merch store. Plenty of cool designs in there for t-shirts and hoodies and mugs and caps. The amount of revenue that's made out of the views from videos is quite small, and it takes things like added revenue streams like the merch store to keep channels like mine up and cranking along. So I encourage you to check out the merch store and pick yourself a bargain and help support the channel at the same time. I'll be back soon with my next video. I'll catch you guys soon.